Hello. Good. Welcome back, everybody, to the Art of Africa course. This is a course that not just focuses on um, art items, but all different aspects of art. And so today we're going to be focusing on the visual and performing arts and repurposed art design. It will be presented by Mohammed Sharif, who will be speaking to us. And let me introduce him. He's a second year MFA candidate in design and visual communications. He's affiliated with the African Studies Department at UF as a graduate student, and he hails from Ghana. His academic and professional focus is on sustainable design, where he explores creative solutions that promote environmental and social responsibility. Mohammed?
Yeah, hello. Hello. Yeah. So nice to meet you all. My name is Mohammed Sharif Umar. I'm here today to present on um, repurposed art design. I'm a graduate student, second year. I'm from Ghana, Africa. I'm gonna start with an introduction of myself. What I've been doing that led me to what inspired me to do art and design, and what inspired my specialization of how I am able to understand my purpose on this earth, valuing environmental problems, societal problems, because this environment is all that we have. We don't have any second planet anywhere, right? So it is important that we pay attention to what goes on in our environment, in society, and we as human beings are capable or have the responsibility to take care of nature. Nature has its own way of taking care of itself, but we as human beings, we also have an activity that nature have to consider that activity as well. So it is very much important that we pay attention to nature and then know what goes into nature, what comes out, and how it ends, right? So I'm gonna start with my introduction, which is so my name is Mohammed Sharif. I'm from Ghana, from a little community called Ijazongo. It is close to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. If you've been to Kumasi, Ghana, that is where the Ashanti tribe is. That is where Tumfo is. It's a very popular city. It's the second largest city in Ghana. Has so many rich cultural backgrounds, cultural activities. If you come to Kumasi, there's so much to explore and there's so much to learn. Coming from a small society that is named Ijazongo, which is like a small society in the town Kumasi. It's not really in the center, but it's close to the biggest university in Ghana, I would say, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. That's where I got my education from. So coming from this community and always seeing the university right across the street, education has always been something that my dad wanted me to pursue. So he always encouraged me to go to school. He took me to school himself. My dad was a security man at the university, so he always wanted his son to like be part of the university society. So this is my picture right there when I started schooling, me as a little child, and this is me now. So you can see a huge transformation through education. So my interest in becoming a designer started from the perspectives of my brothers, because since we were living close to the university, my brothers had the opportunity to work in the university printing press, right? So they were the ones working on the printings of the university students' handouts, giving them to study. So as a little boy, whenever I'm on vacation, I follow them to their jobs and they'll be sending me around all over the university. So that is where I got to my first hand on technology and design. And whoever knows printing press knows that you cannot be working in a printing press without knowing how to adjust headings for people that come to print their letters. Sometimes people come with no idea and they explain to you what they want you to write in these letters, and you have to come up with something to help them achieve what they want. It's not only about printing and stuff, but you get to share connection with people. Let's get to listening to stories that people don't want nobody to listen to. They just want to put in the letter and give it to people. But because you work there, you have the opportunity to see all these stories, all these problems that people are facing, they're putting in their letters. That is where I started building my interest in design. So as I was in junior high school, I told my brother I wanted to be a designer. And he told me, if you want to be a designer, the best way to go through or the best course to do is to go and pursue visual arts in the senior high school. So I finished my junior high school, got the opportunity to enter the senior high school, and I studied visual arts at Islamic High School, is in Kumasi too. So I was born and bred in Kumasi. So when I got into the school, I did my best, went through the 3-year program. I did courses like leatherwork, picture making, anything that has to do with visual art, I did. And I did a lot of work that I'm proud of. I did this wallet of mine that has been with me for since 2012. And I've been using it till date. So I have a special connection to this. And I did this from letters that people threw away, discarded it. They didn't consider it as anything. And I gathered them and I built it myself. And it's with me till date. I have not bought any wallet since then till now. So you can see how it is important that we reuse stuff. Imagine if I went to buy any other wallet, I wouldn't even have any special connection to it. I will lost it and I'll go and buy a new one. But if I lose this wallet, I'm going to the end of the world to find it because I have a special connection to it. So basically, after finishing my senior high school, my dad wanted me to continue my higher education. But then I was like, let me stay home for a year, just figure out what I wanted to do before I realized he already bought the forms. And mind you, my dad has never been educated. My dad cannot read nor write. But I wonder how he had these huge futuristic mindsets of educating me and pushing me even though I didn't know where education could take me, right? He has always been involved in my life. So I pursued my university in the University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, which is the university that I was working in with my brothers. So when people saw me, they always thought that, oh, you're still working as a printing press guy. They didn't know I was actually in the university learning till I was graduating. And they were like, oh, you are a student. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not just going to be here looking that you all are graduating every now and then, and I don't educate myself. So as I started in the school, I started doing 2017, we had to do like internships, work for other companies to get experience on the real world before we graduate, because I was supposed to graduate 2018. So it's 2017, I went on internships as a graphic designer. So as a graphic designer, I got the chance and opportunity to work on various stuff. This is like, I worked for Evolution International. When I got there, they were doing this huge project on environmental of national symposium for the president, our former president, Jerry John Rawlings, his 70th birthday. So all these were projects that they were working on. And when I went there, this was the subject that they were working on, symposium on national environment. So he dedicated his 70th birthday to educate people on environmental awareness, national environmental awareness, which was really beautiful. These projects really got my attention as I was so much involved. So I got to know that design is not just about doing stuff and then printing it out, but then paying attention to what is in the stuff and how it's going to end up. And it's a tool to use that you can use to also draw people attention to what's going on. So these designs was done by the creative team. It was a really brilliant design. We did his 70th birthday for him. He did a huge get together with people, stakeholders in the country, and then they talked about national environmental crisis. things that we do that hurts the environment and national disasters, which are caused by our activities. So I started having interest in learning more about the environment, even though I'm a designer. So I'm like, okay, I like this idea that he dedicated his birthday to, and it really connects to us because nobody can say he or she don't know what goes on in the environment because we all live in this world, right? And when flood comes, we tend to find out why the flood came. When there's a natural disaster, we all try to find out what caused this, even though you don't care. It hits you or it hits your brother, and you tend to want to know why that happened. But sometimes nature has the opportunity to do whatever it wants, but we as human beings also have activities that we do that nature uses that to remind us that all this that you're doing to me, I can use one day to turn all this back on you. And then you see how it feels too, right? In a form of natural disasters. So we did these projects. I started getting interested in the environment, and I get the opportunity to also work with this company. It is called Inclusive Tech Company. I did like designs for them through my supervisor, who is my mentor. Her name is Dr. Alista. She's a lecturer at Kane University. This project was actually through her, and I was her assistant. So I assisted her bring together these ideas of young students bringing up ideas that helps the society and help people with disability, new technology and ways that helps people with disability. So it's like a competition that people work on, and whoever has the best idea, we reward them. And then there were so many sponsors like GoGo, Bank, Societal Bank, and other huge companies. So before UF, I was basically just a normal designer, but I was gathering. This was 2017. So getting close to 2017, 2018, that's where I was supposed to do my final year project. So this is also a project that I did. This is a personal project I did for hair people. Like, so in Ghana, there's this hair companies or hair salons in any corner, in every corner of our area or our community, right, where they do hair for women and stuff, right? So this hair and stuff was really becoming a huge thing. So there was this company right across the street that wanted to rebrand themselves as they don't sell hairs, but then they just restore hair. So if you have like your wigs and your stuff that you want to redo them, right, or sell them, they bought them. And they came to my brother for him to do the designs for them. And he was like, no, Sharif, you've been talking about stuff like this, that these people are really damaging our society because, mind you, the hairs that they do for people, if they do and the hairs that they don't want, like the strings that they don't want, you know, when you are doing hair for people, there are excess hairs that you don't want and they fall down on the grounds, right? And in my community, unlike here, we have like a culture of rearing animals like chickens and goats, and they roam about in the community freely, like how they want. That is how we relate with our animals. So you can rear your animals, and the animals go roam about in the community. Your chickens, when it's night and they've not come to sleep, you'll be chasing them around to bring them back in their cages, right? So when they go outside to eat and they go to these places, the hairs wrap around their feet, right? So if you don't take care, it cuts off their feet, especially the chickens, because it gets tighter and tighter. So we had to always be looking for them and cut off these hairs from their feet. Ones that we don't pay attention to earlier cuts off their feet, right? So I was always against them. They were I cut off like so many of our chickens' feet, right, before I realized. So I hated them. So when we got this project to help them rebuy hair, restore hair, that means if you have hair that can be restored, you're not going to throw it away to go buy a new one, right? Which is really important for reuse, right? So I did this poster for them. We buy old hair, we restore old hair, we pick up and we deliver to help promote that. So they basically started not selling hairs again, and then they started restoring hairs in the community. As a young designer, I had this ambition. So when I got to my final year, I did a project on waste management. My school told me that, okay, now designing is going to a whole new level, right? And the UN has proposed this thing that is called the SDGs. I'm like, what's the SDGs? They said it's the Sustainable Development Goals. In, before setting here, the world should achieve this and that. The world should achieve zero hunger. The world should achieve better societal community, better sustainable cities and communities. So I selected one topic that has to do with sustainable communities and cities, right? That I wanted to work on. So I'm like, okay, I also have this problem that's going on in my community, which has to do with waste management. Because at first, when we collect our waste, we used to carry them on our heads for like 2 or 3 miles to tow them away. There wasn't trucks coming around to pick the waste at that time when I was growing up. So I always did not like it because before you go to school, you have to you have to go throw away the waste before you go to school early in the morning. And I didn't like it. And you don't go all every day. Sometimes it's like 2 days of waste, you have to carry them. And my community had a problem of holding the waste. So like the time where we have to like dispose of them because there's no trucks coming for them. You have to go and throw them away. So I'm like, okay, I want to do a project, but I was a young student. So what can I do? I want to create awareness, right? And I didn't want to create just awareness. I also wanted to create a visualization, like bring people's idea onto things that we can do as people, not waiting for the government to always do stuff for us. So me and my friend came up with this idea of because most of the containers that we used to collect waste wasn't like waste friendly. They came up with any containers that they find up their hands on and they use them as a waste collection tools, right? These yellow gallons, any container that is huge enough to collect the waste at that point, that is what we put our waste in to throw it away. So, and remind you, we have these animals roaming around in the society. So imagine a waste container like this, right? And then there wasn't no handle or anything protecting it like this. And then an animal comes and they find their favorite food in the waste bin. They're gonna tear it around and eat from it. And if you are not around, it goes back in the society. So when it rains, it goes back to the drainage system, and then it causes little floods in our community. So I'm like, okay, now as a student or as a designer, I have to like speculate ways that we can use to protect these waste bins, even though I cannot do it physically because I'm now a designer, but I can always speculate. It's good to speculate, right? To think about the future, ways that this can be done. So I and my friend, we did these designs of trying to find a ways to use reusable materials like the pipes that people leave around when they are done with their projects and they don't want them no more. We can go around and collect them and then just fix them into something that will protect our waste bins from all these natural disasters and animals coming to eat the stuff. So we did several designs, and then we came up with these as far back in 2018, and it was approved by our supervisor that it's a good idea that we've started thinking on to make sure that this comes alive. It's a project that is dear to my heart, and I'm still looking forward to creating workshops and showing people in mechanisms of how they can use the little that they have to make a difference, right? We did a mechanism and we show people how to use the mechanism. We did 2 workshops for them just to educate them how this waste can be handled properly before we send them off. But now there are trucks that come around, but we still have problems of holding the waste till the trucks come to pick them, right? That's one project that I did before I finished my university. So, so I'm done with my university. I got the opportunity to come to UF. My first time traveling from my country, it was really hectic. The flight, everything. I've never left my mom and dad before. This is my first time traveling overseas. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. And then I got to UF, beautiful country, beautiful people. My lecturer is really wonderful, smiling at me, asking me everything about Ghana. People that I have no clue asking me, "Oh, do you wake up to see giraffe and donkeys?" And I'm like, "No, it's not like that. I have to take you to Africa." Africa is much evolving now, even though we are proud that we have all these natural things that it's easy to see them. We still are also evolving because every country needs development in its own way. So I try to educate people more about Africa. I thought, oh, when I go to UF or the state, I'll just be walking around. But I realize now I am more of an ambassador more than just a student because people use me to learn more from Africa. Anybody I meet that has been to Africa will be like, oh, Sharif, I went to Ghana this way. My that right here just told me he has been all over Africa, which I've not been, and I'm jealous of him. Yeah, I'll try enough to go to places in Africa. But when I got here, we were doing our first project, and then our lecturer asked us to share our cultural artifacts that relates to us, right? And I got this key holder from my friend's dad. He does these key holders from reusable materials, clothes that have been thrown away. He buys none of these products that he used to do the key holders, except from the metallic handle and woodens that have been thrown away by the carpenters that they don't use no more. He used them for key holders. So he has been with me for a long time. So I brought it out, share with my class how people are reusing these products to produce magnificent ideas to help sustain themselves and their family. This is the first project we did when I got to UF. So I got to share more light on what the drum symbolizes, the cultural background of it, its significance, and how we use it in our daily lives. So we use it for traditional purposes, celebrations, funerals. So I did a presentation on it, sharing this cultural artifacts and how these little things as a key holder always remind me of where I come from, right? Because of its cultural significance. I also did a project with exchange students from Honduras, and we shared our ideas on what's going on in our various countries with regards to the environment and problems that causes the environment, and how things that we share together and things that we use these waste products for. So we all shared these beautiful ideas of how people in various countries use the waste products for. Some use them for this rugs, some use them for curtains and stuff. We did a project with her just to find out like how the problems going on in our communities or different countries with regards to waste. And it was really beautiful what I learned from her. We realized that we even share some cultural backgrounds when it comes to waste. So all my projects, most of my projects that I've been doing in UF has in relations to the environmental purposes. So this is also a project that I did with my final year students. We were speculating on how the future is going to be. And during our workshop, we asked people to bring their waste that they've stored home for a long time to help us with the workshop. And then create something out of the waste that they've been packing for home that they were going to throw away in the garbage, right? So we made them design cultural artifacts from it. And then they told us how this waste is dear to them and how it represents them. So you see people, waste products has only plastic, only can items, only soda item, only sweet items, and then you're able to identify them like, oh, so you like this stuff? Oh, I also like this stuff. So people started sharing cultural connection through their waste, right? That means even waste can represent you. If someone wants to know you, they come to your house, they don't have to talk to you, they just have to go to your waste. And they're gonna know that, oh yeah, you also like these biscuits, you also like this stuff, because that is where all the products of ours end. So we don't treat waste as it's part of us, right? But then it really is a way that can tell us who we are, right? Once you get to people's home and you see what they are using, sometimes you go there, you don't see stuff is finished. If you go to their trash can, you know that, oh, these people, they like eating this stuff. Oh, I like this too. Oh, where did you get this? Oh, can I take a picture and go and buy some? Waste is always part of us and we share special connection to them. But how do we think as normal human beings? How do we see them? Now we're going to move on to the topic itself, repurposed art. What is repurposed art in design? This is how me as a designer, I use waste in my daily life to come up with critical pedagogy ideas, do design thinking and co-design with my peers. But as an artist or as a normal human being, how do we see waste in our environment? So, but before I go to that aspect, I want to share my personality as a student and what my research entails. So, Sharif, I see Africa as a dynamic force that bridges the past with the future, celebrating pluriversality and empowering communities. And I always ask this question, how has history of repurposed art from early African reuse traditions to modern sustainability movements shaped the way designers today think about materials and waste, right? My project always focuses around how we can revisit our old ways. How do we revisit our old ways? How do we bring this to the new generation? How do we blend these two? Because the old ways were one of the best ways that we used to live. When I always talk to my grandmother, he always tells me, the children are not enjoying anything. Back then, we were doing this and that, we are doing this and that, but now everybody is on their phone, on the internet, trying to be so individualistic, and the world is coming to an end and this and that. And I'm like, I can't relate with you, but it's good that you share this with us so that it reminds us how the world needs to be. Because if it wasn't good, what you were doing, we wouldn't have come and meet this world as it is. You protected the world for us to come and enjoy. What are we also doing to protect it for the other generations to also enjoy? This is my research. This is what I've been thinking through. So I'm gonna be talking to old people to see their ways. In where I come from, there were several ways in which my grandfathers used to protect the earth. Like they have this day they call the bad day. Nobody goes to the forest. Nobody goes to the stream. Nobody goes to farm, right? It's like 2 days. And they were telling us, if you go there, you're going to see all these witches, you're going to see all these wizards. But technically, it was a way to let the forest breathe for like 2 days, to let the animals have their time and enjoy and reproduce, right? But we didn't use the term sustainability for it, right? They just made us afraid of the forest or the rivers that day. But it was a huge way of trying to let us understand that the environment needs time to restore itself. Because when you cut down one tree, it takes years for it to come back to the same way you cut it, right? So you always have to preserve the environment. So these are some of the ways that I've been thinking through and seeing how we can incorporate it with our recent technological advancements or research brilliance idea that we, the young ones, are bringing to this world to help sustain the world. So this is my research one of the things that I'm researching into. So now repurposed art. What is repurposed art? Where does it come from? How did it start? Repurposed art has always been with us through the earlier days, through the prehistoric art, through our ancestors trying to make tools for themselves for hunting and find ways to eat. Because if you don't have anything to do, you have to find ways to survive. And finding ways to survive makes you creative and try to make sense of anything that you have that is with you, right? But in the repurposed arts involves waste, transforming waste, discarded or found materials into new creative expressions. It merges sustainability with innovation, challenges perspective of the value of waste, right? So we as individuals have to see waste as something that is not being like we can discard. Every waste is important in its own ways, right? I'll tell you a story. In Ghana, there was one day that a farmer was farming. He has a farm, and then there was this poultry farmer too. He farmed poultries, right? So the chicken feces, he was going to dispose of them, right? But when he got to the farm, because he disposed of them at night, so when he got to one particular farm, and then his car broke down, so he just discarded the feces on the farm, and then he left with his truck, right? And then the next day, the farmer that was farming on the farm came, and then he saw all these poultry feces on his farm. And then he was like, "Who is this?" And then they told him that, "Oh, it's a so and so and so and so that did that." He went with him very angry to come and collect all the things that the feces. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna collect it the next day. My car just broke down." So he came back, actually collected the feces, took them to wherever he was taking, right? But then, obviously he cannot collect every single of them, right? So he just left a portion. So during the rainy season, it rained, the farmer cleared his land, everything, and then he grew whatever that he was growing. At the end, or when it got to the time where he was cultivating, could you believe the places that the feces, poultry feces were, produced better results or fruits than any part of the land? And he was amazed. He was like, how is this possible? Like, how is this part of the farm growing so much beautiful and the others are not doing the same, right? So then that's when he was asking his children, asking around, and then they just told him, oh, then it might be because of the feces that someone threw over your farm the other day that you made them collect, right? Let's try spreading them in the land and then see what it results into. And then he went back to the man, apologized, and now he was begging for the feces to be returned to his farm because it helped the land generate. So any form of waste that comes from human beings are really important, especially to the environment. So we have to know the value of waste. I wouldn't solid waste, liquid waste. If it's coming up from human beings, it's really important for this environment because it is very natural. But what we produce out of this waste makes it hard for the environment to like decompose it because of the chemicals that we add to them, right? Which is why it is important to introduce repurposed art. So things that it is hard for an environment to recompose, we have to make sure that we are able to reuse them in a certain way that it doesn't fit one purpose, it fits all purpose in this world. And then I'll show you ways in which it can be used and how it can be produced. And certain artists that are always also helping make this their ways, and they are really benefiting from it and pushing people's ideas to join them and use their homes as an exhibition galleries. So globally, in the early 90s, artists like Pablo Picasso and Marcel Duchamp introduced the found arts using everyday wastes, bottles, reels, tools to develop challenges that arts could be really very interesting. So these are some of the early days, 1990s, purpose arts that these artists started doing. This an artwork from Michel Duchamp's cast alive with bronze and cheese board on onyx and black Belgian marble. And imagine if this marble was just being thrown away, would it be an art piece? No, it would have ended up somewhere, and then it would have been struggling to decompose because it can be there for years. It takes years for plastic to decompose, right? But then when we make something beautiful out of it and share our connection to it, we preserve them, and then it stays for people to come and also look at it. I'll show you several examples as we go on. One statement that also catches my attention when I was doing my research for this presentation was nature. In nature, nothing is wasted, everything is recycled, by David Suzuki, right? In nature, nothing is wasted, everything is recycled. right? Nature has its own way of recycling itself, right? He said in nature, that means human activities or artificial objects that we human produce from nature makes it difficult for nature to like accept them back because of the transformation that we take them through. Why this matters? Why does this subject matter? Why does repurposed art matter? So in Africa, I would say even in the world, um, generates millions of tons of waste yearly. Repurposed art transform these environmental challenges into cultural expressions, reduces landfill waste, whilst promoting creative economies. Things Personally, for me, I find it hard to throw my stuff away. My mom always complains when she comes to my room. Sharif, your room is so crowded. Put this thing in the trash. You don't need them. I'm like, Mom, I don't need them now, but I'm gonna need them later. And now when they are looking for containers, they come to me. Sherry, if I want to put this in a container, can you get me this kind of container? I'm like, yeah, I got it. You're like, oh, yeah, you were gonna throw it away, but now you're coming for me to use for it for a different thing altogether, which is really beautiful. So we have to think through what we throw away, revisit our waste each and every day, and then see what we can get away from it. I've seen something beautiful that's going on in the United States when I got here. When people put their waste bins outside for the trucks to come, there's a blue container and a red container for people to separate their waste. That is beautiful. That is really beautiful. So you going through your waste can even find something valuable that you've been throwing away. Oh, your children can even throw something in the garbage and you don't know of it, right? So now that you are segregating them, you pay attention to them, right? And then you put this here, you put this there for it to be easy. These are some of the ways that I am replicating so that I can take back to my communities. And there are certain interesting things in my community that we do that I also think when I bring it here, it will help the society thrive, being in their theoretical ways or how. I was telling one of my friends, my mom never had a fridge, but she had her own way of preserving her foods, which was really wonderful. And she was like, how? I'm like, I'm gonna show you. I showed her and she was like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, my mom never had a fridge for fishes and stuff, but when she cooks, it can take like 2 weeks or 3 weeks and it's still fresh. And she has her, when you're even cooking and you put so much salt, they had ways that they can reduce the salt in the food that you're cooking, right? These are some of the beautiful ways that our ancestors used to survive. So revisiting all these things and sharing them between two beautiful countries will be a huge bridge that we can learn from each other. Now, what we need to understand is designers and artists reimagine waste not as a product, but as a materials beginning. This is the ideas that are in the heads of the designers and the artists. And I always say, one way or the other, we are all artists and designers in our own ways. You come in here, the dress that you pick, the combination to match up with it, how you even decided to come. We have things that we reuse one or two ways that we don't pay critical attention to because we've not been open to this portion of how art is transforming and repurpose art. Because sometimes you buy stuff from Walmart, you use the plastic, right? You bring the plastics home. And when you need plastic to do something, you revisit those plastics and you use them for something else. That is really beautiful of reusing stuff, right? But do we pay attention to it? Do we concentrate on it? Do we make it a way of our life? Some of us do it, but then they do it unconsciously. So this presentation is to draw your mind on that. Anything that you're doing that has to do with reusing, no matter how small it is really making a difference in this world, no matter how small it is, no matter how small it is. You don't have to do something huge or collect huge plastics to use them. Even if you reuse one plastics, it makes a huge difference because, mind you, if you buy something from Walmart and stuff and you're like, no, the plastic is enough, I'm not taking it. I'm going to put it in my bag and take it wherever I'm going to. Now someone else would take it, but then it would affect the mass production of that plastic because you avoided using it. Secondly, cultural perspective. African cultures have long tradition of using repairing calabash and pitching and rework textiles. Repurposed arts continues this lineage in a contemporary art. So at first, we had this notion that anything that you don't throw away that you've been using for a while, it means you don't have money. It means you cannot afford. That's why you are reusing this stuff so long to a point where you don't even want to do it. If your mom sews something for you, you don't even cherish it. You want to buy the thing from somewhere. My mom was always had been a tailor once, and she has been sewing most of our clothes, and we never liked them. Why? Because we think there's this trendy fashion thing that we all want to wear and are trying to um, sew something for us that we don't want because we've seen you use this clothes and now that you don't wear it, you're trying to make something out of it for us. We want a new one, right? But the toy and the idea that she used to, or the joy that she used to sew it for us is different that we cannot imagine. I have these pictures of the same clothes that were being, my mom carried me at my back with, using the same clothes to sew it for me to wear. So if we share these cultural perspectives or histories or connections with these materials, then they become very important in our lives, right? Like me saying, oh, the wallet that I just showed you, I can now remember exactly when I did it, how I did it, the conversation I was having when doing it. I did two, one for my friend and one for me. It takes me back to all these times. It's like a mark where I can use to like remind myself, oh, I got this time and this is the connection I shared with it and this is why I did it, right? And I'm proud of myself today, right? Things that we make, we cherish is more than things that sometimes we purchase, right? If you make them yourself, you have a special connection to it and you can always share it with your children or your family members because when someone asks you, oh, where did you get this? I didn't buy it, I actually made it. They'll be like, wow, you made this yourself? I did. And they tend to get interested in it, right? Because they know that, oh, now we can make stuff instead of just not valuing them because we can just purchase another one. These are some of the artists that are really doing well with Repurposed art. This artist is from Ghana. His name is Elanachi. He's a really global artist, and he transforms bottle caps and metallic scraps into monumental installations. Through his works, he draws connections between consumption, waste, and environment. He uses recycled materials not only to turn something discarded into something beautiful, but also hints at broader topics such as global consumerism and its history, including slavery. So sometimes these artworks are not just for beautification purposes, but there's more to them, right? Because some of these cans and these containers that we're drinking from, we as Africans, we always drink from our calabashes and stuff. But when the Europeans were coming to Africa, or they brought all these containers or they introduced us to all this metallic stuff that we've been used to now. So the transition of all these materials reminds us of where it is. When I was growing up, there's certain drinks that I saw my parents drink, right? That they don't produce them no more. Imagine if I see a container of that drink today, the memories that will come back to me, right? I would say, oh, I grew up seeing my parents drinking this, and one day they sent me to buy this drink, and this happened and that happened. So I share these cultural connections with it, right? And I can relate with it. And someone actually helps me remind my past, and then I become happy. I'm like, oh, it's beautiful. Recently, I saw a drink that I was drinking in Ghana. I didn't know I could find some here. And I went to the African market and I saw it. I was so happy. I'm like, oh, they have this year. I thought I could never find some here, right? Which is beautiful. So art is not just for the beautification, but there's a conceptual attachment to it that these artists share with us. Secondly is Sergi. As I was saying, these yellow cans are really historic because why? They are just normal yellow cans that contains oil, right? But when we finish using the oil, we use it to store our refuse because it's hard for people to purchase the cans. We use it to store our water, which is really important. I remember when there's water shortage in my community, my mom would wake us up early to go fetch water from like 3 miles, 4 miles away. You carry these jerry cans to store water, like 10 jerry cans. You have to fill them all and bring the waters home to contain them. And we survived with these jerry cans. Imagine if it wasn't there, if we just disregarded them. You understand? It is really important of, and then he used it as an art runway for people to walk on, right? Not for like modern fashionists to walk on, but for the same children that have been carrying these gallons around to walk on so that they can enjoy their toil because it's not easy carrying all these huge cans for like 2 or 3 miles, right? So it's a representation of us. And the third artist is Bonjini from South Africa. He always tried to challenges his painting through materials like plastic and metals because sometimes people have this notion that paintings are supposed to be done on canvas and stuff, right? Which some plastic is hard to paint on, but he challenges himself to make all these plastics that people throw away, he put them together and do art piece on them. So now when you look at the plastic, you're not going to see plastic, you're going to see this beautiful art piece and you like to hang it in your room, even though you throw it away because you thought it was just a plastic, right? But now you have this beautiful connection to it because someone has made it, has bring it back alive. And you don't see it as a plastic, you see it as a beautiful painting, right? So it is some of the ways that people are using repurposed art to help us engage in this society. This artist is also Cyrus Kabir from Kenya. He also collects various unused calabashes and metals to produce eyeglasses for people. And then he does this exhibitions also through photography. And it's really interesting when you go to his exhibitions. His work also pushes boundaries and conventional craftsmanships, sculpture and photography design and fashion. This work is from Patrick Bongoi. This work is still at the Hand Museum. I don't know if you've been to the Hand Museum, you're gonna see it. I did a presentation on it last semester. That is me standing there on Repurposed art. It shares a really cultural significance and historical because these rubbers are from inner tubes of like cars and stuff. And his concept about this work is how the Belgians exploited the Congolese people and then used them in their own plantation, make them work for them for like several years. He used this artwork to represent the toils of the farmers that were exploited. So it's at the Hand Museum. You can check it out. It's a beautiful art piece. Also, Kongalo also is from Zimbabwe, and he uses his art piece to share peace, memory, and recreation. These are bullets from civil wars that happened in his country. He collected them and he made art pieces of them. This shows the blood that was spilled. Some of the bullets even have blood on them and all that. He showed them, he using them to people to remind how dangerous civil wars can be and how people need to avoid themselves. These are all ways we used to remind ourselves of what happened, and then we don't need to go back to all these places, because if you don't keep this stuff and you tell the children now, how are they going to believe it, right? But now when they see these bullets and everything, they know it was real, right? So it is a way to always remind ourselves that art has a way to play in our lives, and it's not just for beautification, it is also to remind us that we always have something that we share deep connection to. And you don't know what stories people might share with if they see this art piece, people share true life stories. People that witnessed the Civil War share true life stories with these art pieces. Um, arts, Repurposed arts are really important, and these are some of the community projects that I'm trying to embark on when I get a chance to visit my country after I'm done with my education, to initiate talks like trash baggies and corner residential encourages local youth to collect waste and create functional art, reporting art as a community-driven act. So I want to create a shop place that people can come share their craftsmanship that they've acquired for the years, and then help them sell this stuff. Even if they don't sell them, help them play with the waste that they've been developing, help them love the waste that they've been generating. Try to make them know that anything that they are developing can have a huge impact on the economy. When I say economy, I go back to say art has a very serious economic impact because sustainable art practices creates new economic through cultural tourism, galleries, and local exhibition. These art pieces, some are being bought for millions of cedis, right? Some are being bought and hung to the museums, that are being bought in the streets, and people share special connection to them. There's an art piece from one of my professors, Michelle, at UF. We did this exhibition at the Hand Museum and really caught my attention because of the materials she used to produce this art and the special connection she shares with the materials. Acts as an educational role. It is really important that we foster arts, repose arts in the young ones, as we did with the PYK school here in Gainesville. We did a workshop for them, trying to make them understand how arts and design in universities are really important. So we as graduate students visited them to make them aware that arts can take them to college, and there's huge advantage when they decide to do designs and reuse them for their normal problem-solving daily activities. Future possibilities. So expanding African eco-design into global design dialogues, using repurposed art as a framework for sustainable creativity. Just not limiting it, using it as a huge framework for sustainable creativity is really important. Just make sure that each and every one in his or his own house or living knows the importance of repurposed art, not just doing it, but the importance and where it can take them as far as their imagination could be. So in conclusion, I say repurposed art celebrates transformation of waste materials and mindsets. That's all that I've been talking about. Anything that you have to start with the mindset, right? So it is very important to draw people's awareness or attention to all these problems that's going on in this world. I read a book by Ann Tope, who is a designer. She wrote this book, Atlas of Sustainability. And one interesting fact that she mentioned is each one materials produced on Earth, right? If it's 1 kilogram, they wasted 10 kilograms of materials to produce that 1 kilogram. So imagine if they are producing like 10,000 of same things, right? The damage that is doing to the system. They are not only taking away from the system, but they are also putting, where is this waste going? Understand? So it is always important for us to like mention or create awareness for people. Even several companies are now finding ways to recycle waste, but it's always important that we individuals do it ourselves. That is really where it starts, because we are the people that the end products ends with, right? We are the people that see the end of the product and we decide where it should go, right? So it is important that we pay attention to these things. Each and every one of these companies can be doing their own, but the real action starts from our mindsets and we as individuals. That is why it is important to do these talks with this generation and our other people to learn what ways that we can use to repurpose this, remind ourselves that these are something that if we do is going to harm the future and the earth. And we only have one earth. We don't have two earths, right? And we are glad that our grandmothers, our mothers preserved this world for us to come and meet all these beautiful vegetations. You did it. You preserved it for us because if you didn't do it, how would we see it? Right? So what are we also doing to preserve it for the young ones? We, the technology ones, we say we know technology. We are now the new generation. What are we also doing? So after this project, I would like to hear of ways that um, my grandmothers used to like preserve certain things or their experience with waste back then and their experience with waste now and like certain solutions that they think or problems that they think are arising so that we can have a dialogue about it and then see how it goes. So I'll end my presentation here. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Any comments or questions? 1 second, Mike, for the mic.
I've been familiar with El Anatsu for many years, and they're fantastic. Have you been to his workshop, or can you tell us anything more about it?
El Anochi is someone from Ghana, and I'm still looking forward. I've been following him from a distance. I've been to several artist workshops like Ibrahim Muhammad. I've been to his workshop, but particularly El Anochi. I haven't been to his workshop, but I've been following him close a while from a distance, and I'm still hoping to meet him. He's one of the artists that I'm really hoping to meet in this new generation. Thank you.
Okay, thank
Other comments or questions? I had a comment that, when I was in Africa, I found that solid waste was a major problem throughout the continent, and that in the rural areas, you'd see mounds of solid waste at the beginning and end of every village or town. And in the urban areas, they had one of the biggest issues was garbage disposal. And it was an issue that the contracts were often led to corruption. So I was in northern Niger in the town of Agadez, which is like in the desert. And it's the area where there are lots of problems with refugees coming through, going on to Europe, conflict, Islamic State, etc. And I was facilitating discussions of community priorities. And it turned out that the number one priority was dealing with plastic bags. And it was kind of surprised me, but they just, the wind was strong and they were blowing all over the place, and it just made life quite difficult. I'm not sure what the solution was, but it was interesting that they recognized that that was a problem. And so, I think that your discussion is very timely and useful, and it reflects such an important perspective on how we can reuse the waste that we make.
Yeah, it is really true. All these plastic bags is really one of the major problems. Let's say when you come to Ghana. Before I came here, our mothers have, there's these companies that go around to buy plastic bags from, or plastic water sachets. We have this water that are being made from, stored in plastic bags that people drink, and it's easy for them to throw around. And they have been, our mothers, going around collecting all these bags, storing them in huge plastic containers and selling them, right? That is what they use to take care of their family. So there are certain companies that have started buying these rubber plastics, but we look down upon these mothers that go around to pick them, right? Because whenever people even hide and do it at night because they don't want to see the stereotype attached to it. They don't want to see people thinking they don't have nothing to do and just picking up this plastic, but they are really the ones saving the earth. In Ghana, I would say these women need like a national recognition. There's these youths in Ghana that has also taken upon themselves to work through our drainage system and clear all these waste back. Their name is the Bastard Boys. They are really doing good. They are just normal groups that are volunteering to do all these stuffs, and they are not being paid, right? So now the youth are now thinking through all these stuff, trying to use their strength to make sure that all this goes on. But it also stems out to we as educators to keep creating awareness and let people know what's going on out there and how we as individuals can play our part. Imagine people going around and picking this plastic bag. If we decide to keep them at one place for them to come and collect it, right? The impact it will make. So plastic bag, as you said, is really something that is really worrying us. And I'm hoping that our recent government pay close attention to it and find ways, even if it has to ban certain plastic companies from producing and help restore all these environmental problems. It will be really interesting. So we as designers and researchers are always trying to create awareness, not only create awareness, but also when we get the chance to make an impact or have the chance to have people that have interest in how to deal with waste here, we can always send them back home and be representatives and help save this planet, because the planet here is the same planet in Ghana. When there's problem, it affects the whole world. So that's what I would say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Any online, Mahini? Okay, we have another 8 people online. All right, well, let's thank Mohammed for this great presentation.
Thank you very much.